my name is Bex and I'm the hands behind Daisy and Dime, and today I'm going to be sharing a stitch tutorial slash walkthrough with you. The stitch I'm going to be sharing with you today is my Faux Knit Stitch. I use this in my Jasper pullover and in my impact dress crochet patterns, and it lends itself to this beautiful faux knit texture. Like the name implies, this stitch looks knit even though it's crochet thanks to the stacking waistcoat stitches that are all lined up on each other, and they create these little beautiful V shapes that look like knit ribbing. This stitch is really easy to work up. It just requires 2 stitches, which is the waistcoat stitch and chain spaces, and it has a 1-row repeat, so really easy to master. You can use any yarn and hook that you want in order to work this stitch. It'll look great with all sorts of different kinds of yarn. In today's tutorial, I'm going to be using jumbo wool and I think 15mm crochet hook, a really big crochet hook, in order to show you the stitches and just really blow them up so that I can show you exactly where you need to place your stitches in order to make the waistcoat stitch. Here is a little swatch of the Faux Knit Stitch all worked up. This was made using a weight 4 wool and acrylic blend, I think from Loops and Threads, and I used a 5mm hook, and you can see there's just beautiful stitch definition and texture, and all of these from the waistcoat stitches really look like knit stitches. So today I'll be sharing how you work up the stitch in general. I'm also going to be showing you how to increase and decrease using this stitch so that you don't mess up the stitch pattern if you're trying to shape something. All right, without any further ado, let's get into the tutorial.
Okay, so as previously mentioned, I'm using an extra chunky wool and a 15mm crochet hook in this stitch tutorial so you can see what I'm doing. You're going to start by making a slip knot and then chaining an odd number of stitches. For this swatch, I decided to make 11 stitches. Once you've made your desired length, we'll start our foundation row. Make 1 additional chain and single crochet into the second chain from your hook. Chain 1, then we're going to skip 1 stitch and then single crochet into the following stitch. You're going to repeat doing this until the end of your row. What we're doing right now is creating a setup row that'll be the base for where we put our waistcoat stitches. Once you reach the end of your chain, you should be ending on a single crochet. Turn your work. Now we can begin the faux knit stitch. Chain 1, then waistcoat stitch into the first stitch of the row. To make a waistcoat stitch, it's nearly identical to making a single crochet, just the positioning's a little different. Normally, when you single crochet, you work it into the top of the stitch from the previous row. But to make a waistcoat stitch, you're going to work it between the 2 legs of the stitch from the previous row underneath the middle bar. A good way to think of it is that you're making a single crochet that overlaps into the one from the previous row. So we have our 2 legs on either side of the stitch, and then we have the middle bar in the center. We're going to go underneath the middle bar and then work the exact same motion as if we were making a regular single crochet. And now you've completed a waistcoat stitch. And you can see that by making the stitch this way, it splits the stitch from the previous row and gives it that V shape. Now we're just going to chain 1, skip over the chain space from the previous row, and then go ahead and make another waistcoat stitch into the following stitch. So once again, you're going to be looking for the 2 legs of the single crochet from the previous row. So there's the left leg and the right leg. Again, just to show you again, there's the left leg, and then there's the right leg over there. And now we're going to go underneath the middle bar, which is that bump that you see in the single crochet stitch. And if it's your first time working this stitch, it can be a little bit awkward, especially if you're working with a really tight gauge, which I don't recommend for this stitch. So you're going to go insert your hook underneath that middle bar and then work a single crochet. and that's how you make your waistcoat stitch. Chain 1, skip over the next stitch, and then waistcoat stitch into the following stitch. You're going to be repeating this process of chaining 1, skipping over a stitch, and then waistcoat stitching into the following stitch for the remainder of the row. You should always be ending up with a waistcoat stitch at the end of your row, and you should always be skipping over your chain spaces. As a matter of fact, you are never ever going to be working into the chain spaces while you're working the faux knit stitch. And you should always remember that your waistcoat stitches will always be stacking up on top of one another. But that's really all there is to the faux knit stitch. It's just the 1 row repeat of chain 1, skip a stitch, waistcoat stitch into the following stitch. And that's really all there is to this really beautiful stitch pattern. So after working a few rows of the faux knit stitch, you'll really start to see that stitch pattern come through. One thing that you will notice as you're working this stitch up is your stitches will kind of slant a little bit. That's totally okay, and it'll be fixed once you've blocked your piece. They'll straighten out. Now I'm going to go over how to make an increase using the faux knit stitch. It's really quite easy. All you have to do is once you reach the spot in your work where you need to make your increase, you're just going to make a waistcoat stitch as normal. Then you're going to chain 1. And then waistcoat stitch into the same stitch that your first waistcoat stitch was coming from. So in short, you should have a waistcoat stitch, chain 1, waistcoat stitch, all coming from the same area, and your stitch count will have increased by 2. To work a decrease, it's really similar to working a single crochet 2 together, but we're going to modify it to make up for the waistcoat stitches. So to work the faux knit decrease, it's going to occur over the course of 2 faux knit stitches. So what we're going to do first is insert our hook in between the 2 legs of our first stitch, and then pull up a loop just as if we were making a regular waistcoat stitch. Then we're going to go into the second one. So we're going to insert our hook in between the 2 legs and pull up a loop. So there should be 3 loops on your hook right now. And those 2 most recent loops should be corresponding with a waistcoat stitch from the previous row. And now you just need to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So now you have a waistcoat stitch that is originating from 2 waistcoat stitches from the previous point. So you have decreased your stitches. So you have decreased your stitch count by 2.
All right, and there we have it. We're all done. I hope you found this tutorial of the faux knit stitch helpful. If you have any other questions, just feel free to leave them in the comments and I will answer them and do my best to help you out. If you're coming here from either my Jasper pullover or my impact dress crochet patterns, please, 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 please tag me in your creations below. I would absolutely love to see them. It always makes my day when I see somebody recreating one of my patterns. Or if you're using the faux knit stitch to make something completely different, I would also really love to see it. So make sure you tag me on social media. If you enjoyed watching this video, make sure you give it a like. And if you'd like to see more content from me, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn the notification bell on so that you never miss any uploads from me. I will catch you folks in the next video. And as always, happy crocheting. Bye.